What up, everybody? I am super excited because I think that you can hear me this time. Yeah, I know that one of my videos was like really low, and learning is formative, which means that I have information now that I know to apply. So I know not to use my computer. I don't know how it works with like saying brand names and stuff like that, but yeah, so I know not to use my computer now for any of these videos. I know I'm totally off schedule, but today is Manifestation Mondays, so we are going to do a meditation. However, I want to talk to you guys about something. You guys will notice that I have a lot to say, so I'm sorry, and you're welcome. So I have, who's back here? Camille's back here. You can't see her, but this will inspire our meditation. So what I want to talk to you guys today about is, don't cry at me. This is my cat, Camille. She's always crying at me. Here, just sit down. Just sit down. Just sit with us. Here she is. Lord have mercy. So what I want to talk to you guys today about is what we're told to do versus what we're called to do. So I want to give you guys a second to think about that. What do you think is the difference between what we're told to do and what we're called to do? You done thinking? Okay. So hopefully what you guys have came up with, and maybe it's slightly different than my interpretation, which is totally fine. But essentially, right, what we're told to do, this can be by other people, this could be by organizations, by society, and what we're called to do is a certain level of trust within ourselves, right? And I believe that what we're called to do, we can trust that because we feel aligned, right? Like we feel that we're doing what we're supposed to do and what makes us happy and what makes us feel like ourselves, right? So the reason why I want to talk about this is because you know, right, this is a re-education page, so a lot of times we're influenced so much by what we're told to do, and unfortunately we're not living in alignment with our truth, right, and with our true selves. So this also has a lot to do with intuition. So me as a Cancer, hence the name Moonchild, like I'm very intuitive. I know other Cancers are super intuitive, water signs in general. This shouldn't have been a surprise to me, but what I've learned recently is just like, oh, other people are not intuitive. And it's like, for me, my confusion, and again, it's hard because sometimes we just like can't see past ourselves. But for me, that was like really difficult to understand because for me, like my intuition kind of like guides my life, right? And the decisions that I make and just how I function like on a daily basis. So me understanding how other people function, not using their intuition, or I should say not knowing how to use their intuition, which to me, I also interpret as you not recognizing your intuition. That gave me an idea to like try to teach that, only because it's how I function pretty much every second of my life, right? Which could be, it could sometimes be a burden, but it's not, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm doing what I want to do. And at the end of the day, I'm feeling aligned to myself. So step one, right? How to use our intuition. So the preliminary steps are kind of easy because you have to just think to yourself, what is it that I want, right? In any given situation, right? There's a circumstance that comes up. There's a decision that has to be made. You're in an environment that you're not sure if you should stay in. What do I feel? Right? What do I feel? And don't get that confused with, what am I thinking that I should feel? Not the same. Not the same, right? So how you can tell the difference is if you start to create a narrative, if you start to create a story, if I say this and I stay here, then this person says this thing to me, then I'm going to react like this, and then that bad thing is going to happen, and then that's your mind. That's not your heart. That's not what you feel, right? What you feel is, it's just natural, right? Am I feeling good? Am I feeling bad? You could start there. Of course, there's nuanced feelings, right? There's a slew of different emotions that you could be feeling at any given time. But let's just start, right? For those who really just can't figure out ways to trust yourself, let's just start with good and bad. When you're in this setting, do you feel good? Do you feel bad? When you're with this person, do you feel good? Do you feel bad? When you're at this place, do you feel good? Do you feel bad? Like, not what should you feel. That's what we do a lot. Well, I should feel like this because if I do this, then this thing will come to me and then I can use that to do that. Sometimes that's important, but that's not using your intuition, and that's not going to be super helpful for making like decisions that are best for you. Decisions that are the most aligned with you. And I already know what the counter argument is, right? The counter argument is, well, our well-being is we have to do certain things that we just don't want to do. This is true. However, you can control how much power that has over you, right? So I know that in one of my last videos, not that I have so many, right? But probably the one that you were like, what is she saying? That one, right? I talked a little bit about, man, I lost my train of thought now. See, this is why I can't do cute things, because then I lose my train of thought. But, what was I talking about? Help me. Come on, guys. What did you say? So essentially, like, we talked a little bit about, like things that you're supposed to do. That may be, like, temporary, right? Because what we feel called to do and things that make us feel good and things that make us feel whole, we then are sitting in an energy that is really good and it feels really awesome, and therefore all these other awesome things will come to us, right? When we're just doing what we're supposed to do, yeah, in that moment, you're getting by, right? In that moment, you're getting by. You know, you're getting that paycheck, you have that company, but like at a certain point you have to ask, are these things enough? And I think that we, are in survival mode a lot. So a lot of times our goal is to survive rather than to thrive. What's the difference? Again, take a second to think about it. You good? All right, so you may have came up with something like this. Surviving is you're getting by, right? I also talked about in the last video about like being on a sense of autopilot. Thriving is you're out here, like you're winning. Nobody can tell you nothing. And you're feeling yourself and you're abundant, right? A lot of times we say, well, if I do this thing, we'll get this. And this is enough. Is it? Everybody's different, but I would argue that everybody wants everything that you want, right? No one says like, yeah, I really want that great partner, but I don't really want money. Nah. Ugh, money, yuck. No, that's just not usually what people do, right? Usually we want it all and then we're like, I'll take what we can get. But I don't think that we should settle for scraps. And I think that we put ourselves in a state of mind that we're like, we are a prisoner to our situation. It could feel like that at moments. How do we change the narrative? We change the narrative by doing something different. We change the narrative by changing our mindset. We change the narrative by listening to what we are called to do rather than what we are told to do. Again, just like the last video, does it happen like that or is it a process? It's a process. Everything is work. That's the one thing that everybody has right. You gotta work. It's gotta be hard. Yes, you have to work. Again, this type of work is different. It's cognitive and it's emotional. But right now, I'm asking you to think about your heart. Right now, I'm asking you to think about what it is that you want to do, what makes you feel good, what are you called to do. This is in any day-to-day, decision. This is in work. This is in relationships. This is in health. This is in all these other aspects, of your life that just make you a whole individual. So, listening to yourself is also understanding that you know what's best for you. And I'm not talking about in a cognitive way. I create the narrative of if I do this, then that. No, I'm talking about you know what's best for you because you know how you feel on a daily basis. You know your circumstances. You know all the characters in your story. So you can rely on society to give you the information. You can rely on other people to give you the information, but you're not really living your truth, right? So I want to just give an example of, it's not the best example, but I'm like hoping that it resonates, right? So I always laugh when I talk to people and they're like, you know what they say? I'm just like, who are they? Who are they that I'm gonna, like, I'm not gonna make my decision off of they? Because who are they? Right? Again, another not great example, but I hope that I'm just like hitting it home for some of you guys, right? Like there was a time, you know, there's always those times, especially if you live in like, you know, colder areas or like Northeast America or anywhere that it gets really cold and snows and stuff like that. There's always those like frenzies, right? A couple of times a year, there's frenzies where everyone has to go to the store and get bread and milk, and they have to make sure that they have gas in their car because it's gonna snow. Because they say it's gonna snow. They say it's gonna be the worst blizzard yet. And you check your weather app and it's like less than 1 inch. And even if you didn't check your app, you're like, it's 64 degrees today. So even if it's gonna snow, it's gonna melt and everything will be fine. I'll be able to drive around. But they say, so you gotta do it. I'm so sick and tired of they. I'm so sick and tired of they. Because they don't know me. I know me. You know you. So we have to really start, if you don't already, which I'm sure some of you guys do, we really have to not only start listening to ourselves, because I think that everyone does to a certain degree, but here's that question that I'm always gonna ask, then what? We could listen to ourselves, but are we trusting ourselves, right? Sometimes we acknowledge what it is that we want or that we think that we should have or whatever, but then it trickles out a little bit. It's gotta be some type of follow-up, right? So I really want you guys to challenge yourselves to think about when I do what I want. And again, I'm not talking about in this impulsive way. A lot of times, right, people will say, yeah, I want a lot of things that I can't have. And, you know, if I do certain things to get it, maybe it's impulsive. Well, in that case, there's like a plot happening and then you have to like consider like consequences and stuff like that. I don't know if that's your intuition, right? There could be some ego behind that and there could be that's also a narrative, right? I think intuition is really just having to do with trust and has to do with you being your highest and like best, most evolved self. So you have to think about that too. When I'm considering to trust myself, is this a thing that's wholesome? Is this a thing that I feel aligned with? Or is this thing that I'm gonna do and then I'm gonna feel bad about it? If you're gonna feel bad about it, that's maybe not your intuition. That's something else. Like if you're plotting a revenge or something, that's not your intuition, honey. That's something else. Don't do that. Don't say Chris said. Chris didn't say to do that. No, I did not. Right? So, with that being said, because I can go on about this for days, what I want to do is, because it's Manifestation Monday, I want to have a quick meditation, and I want to just guide you guys through trusting yourselves, right? Whatever it is that you want to manifest, at the very heart of that is going to be your heart. At the very heart of that, it is going to be, how do we trust ourselves in order to manifest that, in order to see those things in the 3D, all right? So with that being said, I'm gonna ask you guys to take a nice deep breath. You can do this however you want. I suggest a 4 count. And then hold it for 4. And then release for 8. I like to release for longer because it's like you're making space. You're making space for the things that you want to invite in. So I'm not going to count you guys down or anything like that, but we'll do that a few more times. Take a nice deep breath in. Hold it. Release. Again. One last time, make it good. Just keep that rhythm going as I talk you through this. You're taking a walk in nature in the best scenery that you prefer. This could be the woods, a jungle, the beach, a park, a garden. And all of a sudden, it starts to get a little bit dark. And you're like, oh man, did they say it's gonna rain? I don't remember they saying that. And all of a sudden you see a huge lightning bolt. And the lightning bolt fills up the sky with white light. And what you think is rain is actually droplets of more white light. And you're just underneath this sky of white lightning and white light raindrops. And you're totally safe. Nothing bad can happen to you. You're actually letting this white light fill your entire body. However it enters your body is up to you. It could be from the top of your head. It could be from your fingertips. It could be from your toes. It could be pouring into your heart. But essentially, let that white light consume your entire body. I hope that you guys are still breathing. Nice deep breaths. Because we're making room for anything that we want to get rid of. We're letting the white light totally engulf that. Any worries, any doubt, any obligations to doing what you're told rather than what you're called to do. Take a few more deep breaths and let that white light fill up your entire body. And all of a sudden you see that the sun is back out. You're able to continue your walk or your hike or you lying on the beach or doing anything that you were doing prior to this white light phenomenon. Right now you're feeling good. You're feeling a little bit confused maybe, but you're feeling good. You're feeling really super connected to yourself. You're feeling pure. You're feeling renewed, right? And whether you're with people or if you're by yourself, you know, see in front of you the thing that you really, really want. The situation that you really want. The desired outcome that you really want. It's right in front of you. Maybe it's a scene taking place in front of you. If it's something tangible, maybe it just falls into your hands or falls into your lap if you're sitting. Essentially, see in front of you whatever victory that you are trying to manifest. And keep breathing. Those deep breaths. And really feel the happiness and the joy and the sense of accomplishment that you have been desiring. And as you feel this sense of joy, consider this question. Am I joyful? Is this what I really want? Is this what I've been called to do or called to receive? Or are you only happy because it's what you were supposed to do or supposed to receive? If you feel like this is something that you've been called to receive, keep feeling that joy as you breathe in and out. Think about all the things that you can do with this thing. Think about the ways that you're going to evolve. Think about how you can spread that joy to other people. If you're sitting with something that you were just told to want, or told to receive, or told to do, think about replacing it instead with what you really, really want, as if there's no restrictions. No one ever told you what to do or what to receive. It's just what your heart's desire is. Think about that. Or if you really feel a sense of joy by transmuting, if you really feel a sense of joy by solving problems, think about ways that you can turn that thing that you now have, that you were told to have rather than what you were called to have, think about how you can turn it into what you were called to have. Think about how you can transmute it. What steps can you take? And as you keep breathing, think about how empowering it is to have the power to turn it into whatever you want. And by the way, if you're in that group that you're just sitting with the thing that you love, keep sitting with it. Keep breathing. Let your heart resonate with it, because the longer that you resonate with it, the quicker it will actually come to fruition. And in my second group, who's transmuting this thing from what we should have to what we were called to have, again, think about how empowering it is to not be stuck, to know that you're never stuck. You're never stuck in any situation. You're never stuck with this thing. You may have to hold on to it for a short little bit of time, but you have the power to turn that into something else, or to get rid of it, or to invite something else in. Sometimes we want instant gratification because that's also what our society told us to do. But that's not our truth, right? We're working through these things. So everybody, no matter what group you're in, think about the most beautiful thing that you can think about, the most beautiful people, the most beautiful feelings, all that you've been working towards. If you were to imagine all the things that you've planted, right? You've planted these ideas, you've set roots in, projects or things that you've been meditating on or praying on. Think about that thing being planted in whatever setting you're in right now. And in these last few deep breaths, watch it literally bloom. Watch it bloom in front of you. And as you watch it bloom in front of you, just be thankful. Thank yourself for doing the hard work. Thank yourself for trusting your intuition and trusting what it is that you desire. Thank the universe, thank God, thank any deity or higher power that you trust in and believe in. And just sit with that gratitude on these last deep breaths. Take another deep breath. And release. So you guys can start to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes and open your eyes if they were closed. If they were open the whole time, then hopefully you were able to use your third eye in a very strong way, so you weren't just looking at me the whole time. Unless that helps, whatever, right? I probably should have told you guys to close your eyes, but I also feel like either many of you guys meditate already, or if you don't, then you've at least have your own idea of what that is. And that's what it's supposed to be, right? A lot of people are intimidated by meditation because they're like, I don't know what to do. And it's like, just do what you want, right? Just do what you want, but be present. Be present and be true to yourself and honor yourself. And don't think about all the external things that we're always thinking about. Don't think about the past. Don't think about what you're doing tomorrow. Just follow your heart, right? That's the whole point of this. Follow your heart, follow your intuition, trust yourself, because no one knows you the way that you know you. No one understands you the way that you know you. And that is something that you should hold on to and remember when you're in these times of feeling like you're not so sure. Just know that if you take a second to look deep within, you are sure. Trust yourself. Believe in yourself. I love you guys. Have a good one.